Hey everyone, welcome back to another 31-minute podcast.
Good morning.
Jordan.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
So I did a podcast without you last week,
I know.
just by myself. I just felt the impulse to do one.
I can't even remember where I was.
Two last week.
I think I had an
We're
appointment.
getting your hair done like today.
I was, yeah.
With the
I had to get my
hairdressers
hair done
today.
This morning, yeah.
Yep.
I'm getting a holiday haircut.
You are.
Mohawk, yep.
Yeah, mohawk, the same as last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
Sort of like
grow
a
out.
mohawk mullet thing.
Yeah, it'll grow out by the time I'm...
By the time you grow up. What was I going to? I was going to say something before we get started today, but I can't remember what it was now. A bit tired today.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Come on, shift that energy.
I feel good. It's just like it's that... Yeah.
What?
Like I'm almost...
Worn out for the end of the year?
Yeah, pretty much. But still good. Like I'm really looking forward to all of our new listings launching.
You've got a lot of listings coming on, don't we?
Heaps. Heaps.
It's like we've hit the listing channel.
And I think we did the right thing in the sense that, like, we didn't launch heaps to just sort of sit there over Christmas. Like, we sold almost everything, spend a couple of weeks with the family, and then back into it hard. Like, we're going to be running crazy.
Yeah, we will.
From January.
Yeah, we will.
Looking forward to that.
Okay. Well, I hope you can run fast. So, so I'd like to today. I wanted to talk about like New Year's resolutions are rubbish. Can you name one person you've ever met in your life that has set a New Year's resolution and stuck to it for the entire year?
You know, I was actually thinking New Year's resolutions feel to me like they're for people that can't deliver on what they want to do with their lives.
Yeah, sort of. Like people get this renewed, like, oh, I've got to get focused all of a sudden. You know, it really intrigues me. Like Jackson does it. Like Jackson's like been the last month. Oh, so I'm just going to get Christmas out and New Year, and then next year I'm going to do this. Next year I'm going to do this, and it really interests me. And I'm not doing this because what he said, but so many people set a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a better way to look at it is what holes can you fill looking behind? Like, because you've just lived a whole year.
Yeah.
Like,
but also the thing is too, is people looking at it from 3 months out normally.
Yeah, they
like
are.
They'll be like back in August, like, oh, my New Year's resolution this year is going to be this.
Stop drinking or whatever.
So why don't you just do it today?
Well, yeah. Well, like on that note, so like let's say drinking is a big one. Like drinking is like one that, like Jackson's like, oh, here we go. Jackson's like, no, not Jackson, but drinking is a big one.
Yeah.
Because people struggle with it. They go, and why do they struggle with it? Because
it's just it's everywhere. Like it's so social. It's like a coffee in the morning, pretty much.
Well, that in itself is craziness. But yeah, I know people drink coffee. Then people are going to go, oh, Matt,
but it's like everything we
water
do
every day.
You did something great at work. Have a drink.
Do you know why you drink?
Baby,
do you know why people drink?
Someone passed away. You have a drink. Like it's every single event in our lives is matched with having a drink. Yeah, that's why it's very hard for people not to do it.
But do you know why?
Is it something to do with your brain as well?
I don't know. Like,
no, I don't know why. I just know that for us in our culture, every single event that we have in our life, people drink at it. Yeah,
it's because it breaks the linear. So when you work, so you get up and you work, and you know, like let's talk about today.
Yeah,
you get up.
Yep.
You go through your routine. So this morning I did breathing. I'll eat the same thing, porridge. I'll clean up the dog poo because it's pooed on the ground, whatever. And then you have a shower. Then you do this, and then you go train, and then and then you go through the day. You pretty much do within a band of 10% the same things every day.
That's true.
That's right. People drink because they break the linear. It makes you feel different. That's why they drink. Like it's all about how you feel. So when you go buy a designer thing or whatever, people go shopping, they're breaking the linear. They're getting this adrenaline burst. They're getting this relaxed feeling. They're getting this
something out of the norm.
That's right. And so that's why they drink. So think about like every day when people drink in the afternoon. Why do they drink? This isn't about drinking. This is not one about. This is about other things, but we'll lead into it. But why do they drink every day? They look forward to 5 o'clock. What do they call it? Happy hour. What do they call it? Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And what like their focus builds until their first drink, and then they're like, "Ah, so good." But think about the reason for it.
I'm trying to think about it now.
Yeah,
because it probably doesn't always start there, but it ends there. Like it.
No, it always starts there.
No, I mean like getting to drinking every day.
Oh,
doesn't start there.
No, but it's like, it compounds.
It compounds over time, and then you just end up. That's what happens.
Yeah,
but it's a good question. I don't actually know.
It's it breaks the linear. That's the only reason. So when you go, yeah, you're right. So let's say you're 20 years old or 17 years old. You go out, you can start drinking. So you go all week. You don't drink all week, and then Saturday night you go have 35,000 beers, and you fall over drunk because it's that. You like look forward to it. You've had this whole week of stuff, and then it's a release, and then whatever else. So people struggle with it because they don't know another way to manage it, or they like it. They like the feeling of the first drink or two, but go 5 drinks, 10 drinks, and then the next day you feel terrible. So how many times in your life have you drunk and gone, "I'm never going to do that again"?
Yeah, a lot.
How many?
Heaps.
100?
Probably.
Most of the time?
Yeah.
Probably,
every time.
Probably the majority of the time. Yeah, that's right. And then I love how when the New Year's all of a sudden coming, people go, "Oh, yeah, well, next year what I'm going to do is not drink."
Why do you think I've never, hand on my heart, ever in my whole life set a New Year's resolution? Ever.
Yeah.
Why do you think people do?
Because they don't need to, and it's exciting because a New Year's coming. That's all. Like it's like...
But a New Year doesn't mean anything. We invented calendars and time to help us with our life.
But it's like a restart. It's like a rebirth. It's like 2022 is coming. So what am I going to do in 2022? They start visualizing a magical year. Someone texted me yesterday, I hope 2022 is better than 2021. You know, like it's just a marker in their life. But every day is that. You go to bed every night. You die every night. Your body leaves you. You leave your body sometimes having these dreams that are like whatever else. Pretty amazing every day. And then get up every day and you're rejuvenated. So you're right. The year means nothing. Like the year is just the end of this calendar that we set. But then everyone has this, what am I going to do with my time? Because really that's what they're saying. What am I going to do with my time? Do you know how valuable time is? Like I'm 49. Like 49. I'm like, okay, next 10 years for me is like...
Yeah.
But you're, what, 26? When are you 27? It feels like you've been 26 for about 5 years.
February. The 8th.
Yeah, but like where you're at, it's like I don't think people value time well enough. You know, because it's like, oh, what do they name the days? Like, oh, I can't stand Monday, hump Wednesday.
Yeah, hump day.
Thank God it's Friday or something, and then it's like the weekend. It's like, yay, the weekend. But every day for me, I'm like, how good is it? Like, what are you going to do with today?
That's the importance of finding happiness, like in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like finding a job that you love.
Yeah.
Because that solves most things, I reckon. You got to spend 5 days minimum doing it for 8 hours a day.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like work is when you're doing something that you like. Like I rang Jackson, he finished for the year, and I rang Jackson and said, "Can you come over tomorrow morning?" We didn't do a podcast yesterday, and can we start it? Can you be at 5:45? He's like, "Yep, no problem." Like it's not like, it's not like So imagine exchanging your time for something that you're just not enjoying. Like, is that the worst way? Is that the version of hell? Like, is it? I don't know. Like, I like going to work. I like doing my thing. I like creating. But I think ultimately people want to get better.
I'm really trying to understand this New Year's resolution thing.
Yeah, people want to get better. That's what I'm saying.
But so do we. But I think it's important to measure different goals in a timely manner. Like we have goals for 2022, and the only reason we do is because our index is against numbers of a calendar year. So like every quarter, every month, every week, every day, there's different tasks that we need to do to get to our end goal of X in a 12-month period.
Well, let's talk about you, Jordan. Let's talk about you for a minute. You yourself have been saying the last few days, after this Christmas break, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You said it yesterday at the gym.
Because
So-
I don't feel like, but hang on a second. But all of my goals are already on
No,
my thing.
I'm saying it's
But
a marker in people's lives,
This
isn't it?
is what I'm trying to understand too, and I'm trying to think in my head without like getting anybody offside or anything like that. I'm kind of thinking the same thing.
Let's
but
talk
it's not
about
really
you.
a
Let's talk about you.
resolution. Right.
Why did you say that yesterday when I
I'll tell
go
you.
through it? This is what you said. Let me
Yeah.
recount it word for word for people.
Yeah.
You said, I'm not going to go to the gym
Yeah.
over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And then come New Year, I'm going to go hit it hard. And then also with work, I'm going to go animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I already feel like I've been an animal all year up to this
that's all
day.
right. That's all right. I'm just asking you.
No, but this is what I mean.
Why did you use that as a marker?
Because this is how I feel. I feel like from all year I've been 120% animal, working as hard as possible, training, this, that. And now I feel like my whole family's coming together for 2 weeks, and I don't want to have to think about work, and I don't want to have to think about the gym. I actually want to enjoy time with my family for a week or two, because that will fill my tank up, and then I can focus on what I always focus on again from next year on.
So do you think that's why people do it? Because there is a period of the whole world let's go,
Yes.
and then they regroup and they got to start again. So is that the reason you reckon
the
people do
only
it?
thing that I don't like about it is when people say, well, I'm going to start my, in September, in the new year, I'm going to start a diet. I think that makes no sense.
Yeah,
Why not
no,
just
I agree.
start it that
I'm
day?
agreeing with you.
Yeah.
So I think the new year is a marker for people.
It is.
It's a general marker, and they let themselves go over Christmas.
Yeah.
When I say let themselves go, people tend to focus on family,
Different
partying.
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we live in Terrigal. Look at all the Christmas
Yeah.
parties that are happening.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a release for people in general.
Yeah.
Like, with us, people aren't ringing us every 5 seconds
That's
during
been my
work.
whole month. I've been to 20 lunches this month, I reckon.
Yeah, I know. You went yesterday.
I went to, and I'm going tomorrow and the next day
My
with
goodness.
clients of
Tell
ours.
me now.
But what do you do? The client takes
I
you
don't know
out.
how you have so many lunches with people.
I just
don't even go to lunch.
I love it. But what do you do? Say, oh, actually, can I get oats and a steak with you don't.
I
With
do.
people. You got to enjoy.
Yeah, I get it.
I've
You
got
let
one-
yourself go a little bit.
I tell you what my one rule is. I order whatever my guests order every time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Makes them feel comfortable.
No.
Every time.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. No way.
I know that.
You so want people to like you so badly. It's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's not though.
I'll have Brussels sprouts and baked beans, and Jordan goes, "Oh, I love Brussels sprouts and baked beans." It's like,
Well, yes, I got lobster morna, and I don't even eat lobster morna.
why do you do that? You should order your own meal.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, because people, when you're taking people out to lunch, they feel uncomfortable. Like I feel that if I say, "What are you getting?" and they're thinking about something, but they think, "Oh, is it too much money or something?" They're like, "Oh, I'm thinking the lobster." I say, "I'll get that too," because then they get what they want. They feel comfortable. I've got it as well. No problem.
I've never once been to dinner with someone and gone, "I really like him because he's eating pasta like I am." Like, not once ever. Jordan, the way you think sometimes is out of control. Anyway, let's move right along.
But so anyway, what we're saying is
Jordan.
Jackson's losing his
I
mind.
know. So, yeah, I'll eat what you eat.
I love that sort of stuff though.
Yeah, I know you do. You live
I
for
could
it.
go to 500
You live for
lunches, but there are people calling me too. But anyway,
You're so good. They love you, Jordan. It's like, you just, oh my goodness. Anyway, keep going.
but I'm interested to hear your take on it because you're right.
I think
It does become a marker for people. But how many times? Like I've got a couple of aunties that set a New Year's resolution every single year. Like last
Do
year,
they stick to it?
never.
Never.
So last year, she said, "I'm never going to eat chocolate again." So she's saying it for 6 months coming up to Christmas. She's like, "This is the last year of eating chocolate." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "This is the last year of eating chocolate, 4 months." And then on New Year's Day, throws all the chocolate in the bin. Like
an extreme.
Like, watch this. Like,
Yeah.
so much of it. I'm like, where are you pulling all this chocolate for? It's like it was hidden in the walls. 3 weeks later, I'm at Cookie's house for dinner. What did she pull out for dessert? Chocolate. She said, "Oh, I've just decided I'm going to eat less now." All right.
And then they go back to, you know what? I really think habits are very strong.
Yeah.
You know, people changing your habits is rewiring your brain. Like it takes a lot of work, like a lot of mental. Well, I just did it recently, so like I need to breathe a bit more. Like as in, I like the breathing thing.
Yeah.
And I know it's great for you. And I started it 2 months ago. Did it for a while. You get busy, gym, this, that, whatever, and you've got to like grab 10 minutes of time in the morning. And I want to do it in the afternoon, in the night as well. But for some reason, it's just taking a bit to stick. And like, you know, I did it yesterday, I did it this morning.
How many weeks have you done it for now?
I stopped.
Oh.
So I started because it just, like I...
So
like
it's 4 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
Well, 30 days, say. But I half enjoy it and I half don't. Like the breathing. Like it's actually like a bit hard. Like it's, you do it, but you're sitting there going like this, and it's like sort of enjoyable and sort of not. So like it's easy to drop it. Yeah. It's easy to go, you know, I can breathe anyway. I don't really need to breathe. But it's actually really good for you. Yeah. So
it's probably harder to see the results of that too.
It is. Yeah, that's true. Like the results are like, I don't know how
you go to the gym,
you just have a breathe meeting, and all of a sudden you're breathing
exactly.
better. So yeah. So like I really understand it, but I do want to make it a part of what I do. And we bought an ice bath yesterday. It comes today. So that'll be interesting to see if we stick to it. And
how many minutes are you going to try and get in that for?
I don't know. Like even with cold showers, like I have a cold shower every morning, but it's only a quick one. Like I don't like them.
I'd love to come up and break the record first go.
Yeah, you should.
Like, see who can sit in the longest, and then I'll just come up, just die in there.
Well,
I reckon there should be a number on the wall, like who can sit in it for the longest. I actually wonder how long.
You know, I've never done one.
Neither have I.
Yeah. I don't even really love cold showers, so I don't know how I'm going to go with ice bath.
Yeah, cold showers are an absolute mess.
Yeah, like I do them, but
in
it's
winter,
like
you literally like it's running, and you're like there, like
and you're sort of like
you got to pump yourself up, like
you know it's good for you, but you're sort of like
once you're in, it's fine. But I wonder how long, like you can sit in an ice bath for before it actually starts doing damage. Is it like 10 minutes?
I don't know. Wim Hof seems to like sit in there for hours.
He is a machine.
Yeah. Do you know why he started all that?
No.
His wife killed herself and left 4 kids. Yeah. And he was in such pain, and then he went on a bit of a journey. Yeah, he's got a good story.
Wow.
Great story. But he went on a bit of a journey. Like he was very depressed and he was very, whatever, just detached from life. And then he just, I don't know how he got into breathing, but he was like, just went on this whole self-discovery thing.
Well, I swear by cold showers. I don't do it all the time, but if I get up and I'm feeling a bit like, this morning I had a cold shower because I was like, I feel a bit like need to be clicked into gear. As soon as you get out of it, you feel fine. So
it's just doing it.
It's doing it. But imagine an ice bath. I reckon you would feel great after it. I just don't have a bath in my house, so I can't have an ice bath.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I reckon when you set something like, I'm going to not eat chocolate or I'm going to not drink, it's got to be attached to something bigger. Because if it's not, you just don't stick to it. So like, for instance, if you're an alcoholic and your life is falling apart so badly and, you know, causes you such pain, you might stop drinking, you know, like forever. Like my mate, he was an alcoholic. He used to go home every night and have, you know, those long necks like bottles and just drink at home with his wife and that without her knowing, and tip like half a bottle of vodka into his beers so that she didn't know. So he'd be drinking beer plus half a bottle of vodka plus taking painkillers. Just nothing wrong with him. He just to get the extra effect, and he was doing that for ages. So he went to one of those barley ones.
Was a bit lost.
He went to those barley ones where there's like a jail to stop, and he's never touched a drink since. Like it's been, I reckon, at least a year, maybe more. I was only talking to him yesterday. I said, "Have you broken it yet?" He's like, "No," and I won't. So he got to a point where there's so much pain attached to it. His life was so miserable and he hated everything about it that he just stopped. done. And I think sometimes when we set a New Year's resolution, we like to do this. Like, I'd like to not eat chocolate, or I'd like to go to the gym twice a day. Like Jackson just did a 2-day gym, 30. Was it easy? No, it's very hard. Like, because you got to make your life work around it every day.
Yeah.
But he did it because Jackson used to be fat. You know, Jackson used to be fat and way out of shape and on drugs and drinking, and now he's like a lean, toned machine. You know, like he just something went off of inside of him where he's like, enough is enough. I think sometimes pain can make you do that, but when people set a New Year's resolution, I think it's like a nice intention.
And that's tying back to what I said in the beginning. I said I feel like New Year's resolutions seem to be for people that can't stick to it. And that's exactly, and that's
there's no real reason they need to.
Exactly. It's just like,
life's pretty good.
I've got to pick a New Year's resolution this year. What about I go for a swim every morning?
Yeah.
That's normally the process. You're probably right with that, because most people, if they want to change something in their life, as soon as they think of it, they're changing it.
Yeah.
You're the like a bit of a pain at that sometimes. You're like, we should do this, and then like 10 seconds later, you're like, did you call everybody to make it happen? Like, you don't let a minute go past a thought. Like, as soon as something comes into your head, it's like, execute that bloody thing now.
Yeah. But it's got to be something you really want for a reason. Like, it's you know, like smoking amazes me. Like, it really does. Like, smoking just smells. It's like, just takes up a lot of time. Like, there's smoking breaks at work. You can go outside, 10 times a day or something for 3 minutes or whatever it is each time. And imagine you use that time for your fitness instead of standing there in the dirty smoking around the back with all the other people. Like, have you ever walked past one of those areas?
Yeah, I have walked past the Crown one here.
Yeah, and they're all there smoking. But then in your lungs, imagine what's going on in there, and you're investing all this time into an outcome there. So it's like, it's got to be something that moves you. Like, that's why I think New Year's resolutions don't really work, because it's not deep enough to move you. Like, it's like it would be nice, but when you get to a point where you're like, no, enough's enough. Like, I want, I was doing a podcast yesterday for a guy that was he's a journalist or something for Win TV, like, you know, Win 7 and stuff. And he's like, why did you change your life so much? And I was like, I have no explanation. I don't know. I just got to a point where enough was enough. That was it. So I think, like, when people set a New Year's resolution, it's like, yeah, I want to stop, you know, I don't want to eat chocolate. That's like a bit of a nothing.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a, all right, well, just don't eat chocolate. Like, how hard is that? Like, you don't really want it enough if you're going back and eating chocolate, because you can't, like, if you have a few bits of chocolate, what's it going to do to your life? Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a bit guilty because you're like, you know, you're just eating too much. You know you are. So it's like, oh, yeah, on January 1, I'm going to stop eating chocolate. But really, you don't want to. Really, you're like, yeah, I probably should.
Yeah.
You know, and anything that's a probably should, you're never going to stick to it. Like, ever.
Do you think you can change your life without getting to the point where enough's enough?
You can. You can, but you got to attach it to something.
Yeah.
So you got to attach it to something that's going to people make decisions on pain and pleasure. That's it. Nothing else. So why are you here doing a podcast at 6 a.m?
I know it's going to benefit our
careers
long term.
Yeah. So is pain or pleasure the bigger one there?
Pleasure. Yeah.
What's it going to do? So you get to put a snippet up that Jackson does. You're going to put on your podcast. You feel good.
Yeah.
You know, someone's going to send you a message and say, Jordan, I love your podcast and this and that, blah, 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 blah.
No, it moves my life forward.
Yeah.
My brand forward, my life forward, the amount of people that we have connections with online and offline, another inch.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So there's no real pain attached to it. The pain of getting up and having a cold shower is less than doing this. Yeah. That's right. So why do people go to a job they just can't stand? Like, I mean, can't stand.
Yeah.
The pain of it is that bad, but why do they go? Because the pleasure of getting paid and know they can survive and go to Coles and buy some cornflakes and blah, blah, blah is bigger than the pain of going. So always remember, the pain around it or the pleasure is the thing you measure it on. That's it, nothing else. This is an whole emotional journey. You make decisions based on your emotion. So when you go to lunch with somebody, you'd rather eat Brussels sprouts and sit there and have them give you the pleasure. You feel pleasure in them going, oh, look at Jordan. He's got Brussels sprouts like me. And you'll shove Brussels sprouts in your mouth, even though you hate them.
Yeah, pretty much. But
near enough.
Near enough. But I will eat anything.
But you'd rather someone think something nice of you than you go, actually, that I don't like Brussels sprouts at all. I'm not going to order those. Enjoy your Brussels sprouts, mate. I'm having sirloin.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. And that's how we make decisions. So when we go into New Year's resolution, we have this pleasure thing going on around, oh, it would be really nice if we had no chocolate. Because what are they visualizing in that moment? What are they visualizing going, no more chocolate? At some point in December 15.
Them looking good, happiness. Like,
talk me through it.
Yeah. They'd be looking at what they think, the person they think that they will become if they give up chocolate.
In that moment.
Yeah.
So they go, because they love chocolate.
And then all the benefits come from it. They might be single and go, I'll look great, I might find a new guy, this sort of thing. They start building a picture in their life.
And then
in their
come
mind.
January 1.
Yeah. They give it up.
Well, they last for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then what happens?
Back into the normal habits.
Yeah, because why?
Like you said, they didn't want it deep enough.
Because it's hard. It's hard. You rewire anything about your neurological pathways, it's so hard. Like when I was partying, my whole life was a mess. I liked it. Though I liked the partying. Like I actually liked, you go out and you get your drugs and you go out and whatever and you spend 2 days, 3 days, 4 days just doing whatever you want to do. Like it's actually very fun. But my whole life was in the ditch, but I'd still be doing it anyway. And I'd still be spending thousands and thousands of dollars and I'd still be running it around like a maniac, blah, 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 with absolute no direction in life, whatever. But the thrill of getting the drugs and the thrill of taking them and the thrill of running around like scattered off your head was way more fun than it was like getting up and going to a job on a Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like, it's way more fun. And even people talk about being a drug addict, such a bad thing, but I actually really liked it. I did. Yeah. I loved just doing whatever I wanted to do. But it got to a point where life was so bad that one day I was like, if I take that, then that's going to happen. I'll spend 3 days in bed. I'll feel terrible. I've got no money. Blah, blah, blah. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, I've got to do something about it now.
Yeah. At that point, the pain's worse than the pleasure.
Exactly.
And you trade it.
Well done.
Yeah.
That's right. So always remember pain or pleasure. So if you're going to set a New Year's resolution, they're fine. I think they're rubbish. They're, maybe you need that. But it isn't every day like that. Like, I love the saying, like, a day is a snapshot in the rest of your life. Like, I really love that saying because it's like how you treat today is really building tomorrow and the next day and the next week. And because you do it enough, that's what you're going to end up as.
But also with today too, we only know that we've got today.
Yeah, today.
Really.
Yeah.
Like anything that happened yesterday we can't get it back. It's done. Time's done. That's the only thing. If you gave me $1 billion right now to try and get your day back yesterday, it's gone.
Yeah.
You can't get it back.
It is.
Which is really interesting. We could not wake up tomorrow.
Totally. I think of Rich Piana a lot. Rich Piana, the bodybuilder.
Oh, I do.
He died at 46 years old. And sometimes I think of my dad, like he died at 47.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's talk about my dad for 5 minutes. Like that's like a interesting mindset. So
he was exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly what we're talking about. Like he drank from young, and then he was a very smart guy. Like went to opportunity school.
Can I just ask you quickly, why do you think he started drinking in the beginning?
I just think he didn't like his life.
Right.
Yeah, I just think he didn't like his life. People do things, pain or pleasure.
Yeah.
Why did he? He has this rule, right? He had this rule. He would not drink before 5 o'clock. It was his weird rule. But at 5 o'clock, the monster would come out, and he would drink till he was obliterated. Like it was the most bizarre thing.
Every day.
Every day. Not one day would he miss drinking.
But like say on a Sunday or Saturday.
5 o'clock.
He wouldn't go 4:30.
Wouldn't touch it.
Really?
5 o'clock. He'd get up in the morning.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So strong-minded to stay at 5.
Yes, his value system. It's his pain or pleasure around So what he'd said was he wouldn't drink before 5 in case he had to drive a car. This is what he used to say. I didn't learn, my dad's. I didn't have a very good relationship at all with my dad. No. Like I had no respect for him. But people do what they think is best at the time. So he would drink because he used to say, you know, if I have to drive a car before 5 o'clock, then I can't drink. He would never get in a car, even if he had one sip of drink. Like it's just his rule that he had in his life. Yeah. So then he'd drink a case of beer every day. So he'd drink, and do you know what the twist tops are? I don't know if in the little twist tops. Yeah, the little ones. He'd drink a case of them every day.
Pop used to drink them. Yeah.
And so all I used to watch him do is get to that point, and then turn MASH on. You know, MASH.
The army movie.
Yeah, and watch MASH, and then ABC News, and I'd sit there as a kid, like watching these worst shows in the world.
And he'd just be
drinking in front of the TV every day, until to the point where he'd fall on the ground and just wee himself and all this sort. Like I'm talking drunk. Anyway, as time went on, he's got worse and worse. But he'd never drink before 5 o'clock, never. And he'd get up at 4:30 in the morning every day, 4:30 in the morning, and he'd drink a Celine. Do you know what a Celine is?
Even after drinking a case of beers,
every day, he did not sleep. Not one day I can remember as a kid he'd ever slept in. He would drink up. He would get up 4 o'clock. He'd have one of these alarms go through the whole house. You could hear that so loud, like it was the worst. And it was one of those flip clocks. Like, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, but the numbers flip over like a, I don't know what you call it, like a number flips over. You know, they're so loud. And then, so he would get up at 4:30 and he would make a Celine, which is like this lemon powder, and you put it in water. And he mix it around, and you have a Celine, 2 Panadols, and go to work or do whatever he does. And then I wouldn't see him. He'd come home at lunch every day at 12 o'clock. So he used to. My grandparents had a reasonably successful business, but my dad, I think there was a problem with them and my dad. I don't know what happened, but they just didn't get up. I don't know what happened, but he every day come home at 12 o'clock for lunch. He'd sit there and eat his pie, and then he'd go back to work, and he worked in the county council as an electrician, and then he'd get home at 4:56, then he'd have his first beer. That's how he lived his whole life. Nothing different. But on the weekend, he'd go down to the pub on Sunday afternoon and Saturday afternoon, and then he'd come home.
He almost had this, like a schedule like yours, but just for the wrong one.
Yeah.
Like you get up at 4:30, go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Instead of having a Celine, you eat your oats and thing that you've eaten for the last 3 years.
That's right.
Then you go to work.
Yeah.
Then you come home and you go to the gym again. He drinks a case of beer.
Yeah.
You had a routine. It's just the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm blown away that he could get up at 4:30
every day. And
so in the end, at 47, was it just the alcohol that just was ripping his body apart?
Well, about a year before, maybe 2 years before. So I don't know the time frame. About a couple of years before, he was having tremors, like fits, and the ambulance guy came out and got him. I was like young, but the ambulance guy came out one night and he said to my dad, "If you don't stop drinking, you're going to die. I'm telling you now," because he was having fits on the ground. And then, he didn't stop. And then when I went, and then I just had no contact with him. So sorry, no, that was a long time ago. Time frames all over the place. That was before I left home. Yeah. That was like when I was 16 or something. I left home and never just left. I just didn't like him at all. And then I think my mum just lived in a constant thing of stress because of him. And then all the years later, I never spoke to them again. Mum did a thing. I don't know what Dad did, and I sort of hardly ever seen him. And then years and years later, he rings me and says, "Can you come to the hospital?" This is like I was up here. So I don't know how many years later, like 10, 20, 15 years later, I don't know, whatever it was. "Can you come to the hospital?" And I was like, "Oh, no." I said, "I'll get down there when I can," sort of thing. Because I had no connection with him whatsoever. I couldn't stand him. And he said, "No, you need to come today." And I was like, "Okay." So I went down and he had cancer, liver cancer. And I went into the hospital and his girlfriend that he was seeing at the time, whatever. And my dad was all yellow, completely yellow, and just like looked terrible. I hadn't seen him for, I don't know, 15 years or something. And then she's pouring him a beer in the hospital, sitting there. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, to the lady. She's like, oh, he wants a beer. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, dying. And then he died that night. Yeah, so he just, I think he knew he was going to die. He said he'd come down. But,
wow.
Yeah, drinking, like he could not stop drinking. The pleasure he got from drinking was way bigger than his life. And I say to Jackson and the kids all the time, like, you know.
Well, look at that. He's laying in bed, dying from alcohol, and pours a beer.
At 47, that's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was 80 and just, you know, whatever,
like,
I've lived my life
yeah.
and that's it. It's 47. He just could not make a decision. It was hard to live otherwise. Tremors, ground, ambulances, this, that, whatever, no money, well, whatever. You know, and so I think like with changing your life or making a decision, each day, I reckon, is just like a brand new year. That's the way I see it. So what are you going to do today and what decisions are you going to make? The new year.
Each day is like a brand new year. That is the best quote ever.
Yeah, I think so. And
that I think that ties up exactly what you're saying about a New Year's resolution. You're 100% right with that. A new day is like a new year because it is.
Yeah,
every
it is.
day should be a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people struggle with stuff, like let's say it takes a while for habits to be made a part of you. But like if you know you've got to stop drinking, like I don't know, it's just a common one. People go, so many people say to me all the time, people say to me all the time, I'd really like to be, like I have a mate that, you know, as a client has become a mate, and he's like, oh, I've just got to stop partying. You know, I want to train and be, you know, like you do and whatever else. And I said, well, stop.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. And he's like, yeah, but I love it. You know, I'm like, well, don't then.
Yeah.
You're like, you're either in or you like can't be half pregnant. Like you're either in or out or bit or not. It's like, but I think you need to decide what do you want to be. Like who do you want to be and what do you want to be?
I think some people do this too. Like say they love partying. They're like, oh, it doesn't affect my life, so I'm not giving it up.
Yeah, great point. Imagine if you didn't though.
Yeah.
So if we talk about frequency, which I love talking about because frequency can change your life, you can't have a great frequency. You can for a little bit while you're drinking and all that, but later the frequency changes. So I'm just not prepared to change my frequency anymore. Like I'm not prepared to be. I'm just not prepared for the fallout.
Yeah.
Like because you got to. Jackson went out last week. How long has it taken you to get your frequency back?
4 days.
4 days. So do you want to go backwards in frequency, and go that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And nothing goes well. Like things don't go right. Like if you got a hangover, people are angry with you. People want you here, want you there. You're like, oh, leave me alone.
Yeah,
I just can't stand it. Whatever. But it's like because your frequency changes, you get out of sync with the rhythm of life, and I'm just not prepared to do that anymore. So I think, what do you have a New Year's resolution, by the way, Jordan?
No, I just always am working towards my same goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got your goals for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like just an increase on the last year.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I do it in a year is, like I said before, where our performance is indexed against the calendar year. So it's just easier for me to, like, as you know, goals you need to have a time, go through certain points to get there. It just makes it easier. But yeah, I don't have a New Year's resolution. It's just the same. I do the same thing every day. Go back to the gym, go back to the boxing, go back to all that stuff. Same things at work.
So I reckon maybe you're pretty happy with where you work, what you do, your life. Like you got you're in a good space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe someone's working in a place they just can't stand. A great New Year's resolution is I'm going to do something about where I work.
Yeah. Actually, I want to work
could be
somewhere
right.
else.
Yeah, but you've got to give that energy and focus and attention and let it grow, and that would be something that's fantastic. But if it's like, here's a challenge I'm going to put out for people. If you've got a habit that's not great, so let's say it's drinking, or you want to get fitter, or you want to do something that's like perfectly manageable, just a choice really. Why don't you start today instead of the new year?
Yeah.
Imagine, and how do you want 2022
Yeah.
to feel?
Mm.
So people go, I want it to be the best year ever. Well, your frequency needs to change because the year will only reflect your frequency. So for me, I want to go into the new year feeling like I want to go into it
Feeling good.
feeling amazing. So I won't be drinking. I won't be going out, watch the fireworks on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Great sleep, doing my thing. Nothing like too rigid, but just going straight. I want to bring that frequency into the new year, not go, okay, it's January 1. I've got to quickly clean my frequency up and hopefully I'll have a great year. Because I reckon as the year starts, the year will go. That's what I think. I don't want a hangover heading into New Year. Like New Year's Eve, I know everyone parties. I'm not saying just be a hermit and do nothing. But I think there's a choice around it. You know, do you want to choose a hangover? Are you going to have a big one, by the way?
I don't have anything planned.
No?
I'm this year. I'm literally staying with my family the whole time.
Great.
Yeah.
So I reckon, and I'm not telling people what to do, but think about it. Like, I reckon the tone that you set the beginning of the year on is going to be the tone or the momentum that's going to start from there. So from January 1, wouldn't you love to enter the year with no hangover?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, well, wouldn't it be great to do and
I
try
know.
and just see? Because it's like every day counts and every day is like, well, I reckon it's a question of how good do you want it to be, because you've got to experience, because we say habits take a while to change, but you've got to get used to feeling the frequency of what you want it to be, because it doesn't happen in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You've got to learn what it feels like to have a cold shower in the morning, go train, eat well, say no to drink, stop taking drugs. You know, even your self-talk, you focus on what you want. You know, that even if you're overwhelmed because you're so busy, like you're trying to adjust all these things in your life. But if you're vibrating at a higher frequency, those things start to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But if you're like, have you ever felt, you did before, felt like you're running behind the energy?
Yeah.
Because you're living a bit of a lie. Like you want to be good, but you keep having the beers on the weekend. I know I say beers, but it's so common.
Yeah.
Or you're smoking and I don't care who you are. If you smoke, you cannot vibrate at a frequency that if you want to achieve great things, and let's face it, this year's been busy, has it not, for everybody?
Yeah.
And you say you want next year to be better, what part are you going to make better? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
You're going to get busier? I don't think you can fit anything else in. Everyone's just is time poor. You go out in the street, you speak to most people and they say, oh, just so busy, can't fit anything else in.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? Get busier? Or do you get...
Smarter with your time.
Yeah, or do you feel better? Because if you feel better, things naturally going to change. But you've got to actually operate there. So what part are you going to change? Like, what part is that?
For me or for everyone?
Anyone.
Yeah.
So if you want to make next year even a higher performance, like we're running at the best in the country right now. So how do we make that even better?
Well, we said it. We said it yesterday. We're doing 10 million this year.
Yeah, we're doing 10 million this year.
We were standing in the store and you said, let's set a huge goal this year. I said, we're not far from that. And you said, we're doing 10 mil.
Yeah.
I said, let's
But
go.
how does that happen, George?
We have to become different people.
We do.
Yeah.
So we've got to get pleasure out of adjusting our inner self.
Because really, with no extra time, we've got to somehow put another 50 sales on the board.
Yeah.
That's really what we've got to do. How do we do that? Just get smarter with our time, connect better. We were talking about different listings. Like, we have to become a different team to the $8 million team.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
with the same amount of time.
It does. And it all starts inside of you. I'm not saying don't drink. Like, if people want to drink, knock yourself out. Do whatever. But at some point, you've got to make some changes. You have to make what's going to change in your life. Because if you do it exactly what we did now, we're probably going to get the same. Exactly.
Yep.
And frequency is a reflection. That's why I'm so interested in it, because someone who's a billionaire, do you know they're just operating at a billionaire frequency?
Yeah.
Someone who's got no money and got debt and afterpay, they're actually vibrating there. That's a frequency that they're so used to operating at that's where they're at. It's a reflection. So that's why I'm like, okay, what is a $10 million in fees written vibration. What does that look like? So I've got to change.
Yeah.
And it starts now. It's not to start on January 1. What's January 1? Nothing. It's just like a day. Like it starts now. If I want next year, if I want January 1 to come, so every day counts in the pursuit of excellence for next year. So wouldn't it make sense to get a run up right now?
Yeah.
You know, like but if I have like, you know, a big night tomorrow, how many days are going to take me to recover? 2 or 3? Like really to feel good again? 3, 4, 5, whatever. I'm getting older, so a week. Like a whole week's like, you know, we all know what that feeling's like. How many times we laid in bed and go, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
Rubbish, because you're doing it again.
Yeah.
So, but imagine you said, well, I'm not prepared to settle for that anymore because I want to see what is up here. Like I want to see, if you haven't been there before, you got to somehow learn to get there.
That's the thing. You have to see that. If you don't feel the other side of it, it's very hard to make the decision.
It is.
Like I know what it feels like to go to open homes on a Saturday feeling great, click, you sell heaps of properties. But if you go out on a Friday and go and do open homes and feel terrible, you know the difference.
Doesn't work as well.
So when somebody says, do you want to have a view? I'm like, nah, school night. Not a chance.
Yeah. I think that's a really great thing what you said. You've got to observe yourself.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've got to be in working, but you've also got to be constantly aware of what's happening within like almost like outside of yourself, because it's like if you're watching yourself, you watch the interactions you have when you're feeling fantastic, when you have enough sleep, when you're eating pretty well.
Yeah.
Like doesn't mean you can't eat the odd chocolate, but that's fine. But it's like when you're thinking a new story in your mind, you know, we're going to do this. I just tell myself, like I actually talk myself into reality. You see me. I just start going, okay, I want a better body. So I go, okay, I'm going to have the best body. This is what I'm going to do. You wait to see my body, blah, blah, blah. I just start talking about it. Like, and it just creates, I just get so focused and create. Like when I wanted to be a racehorse, remember? Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to make my racehorse. Yeah. You watch, I want veins here, this, that, whatever. And I just talked myself into reality.
Every day.
Every day.
Every single day. I'd be like, morning. You'd be like, you just wait. Just wait until you see my body. I'm just going to be a racehorse. Every day. Every day. But you did. 100% did. You talk it straight into that.
I do. You just channel your energy in that direction. And it's got to happen. It like has to happen. Whether you achieve that target exactly or more or a bit less, it's around it, somewhere there. So anyway, let's head into 2022. I think there's a lot of exciting things coming, but the most exciting thing is we've got complete control over our frequency. Who do we want to be? How do we want our life to be? Who do we want to become? I think more about that. So New Year's resolutions out the window. What are you prepared to do? Like to become who you want to become? What are you prepared to attach pleasure to? Like the pleasure to sacrifice. You know, when people say, that lady you're talking about, is it your auntie?
Marnie, yeah.
Says, I don't want to eat chocolate anymore. But she's not prepared to attach enough pleasure to chocolate-free. So when you don't have it, it's really easy to take something out of your life if you attach enough pleasure to the achievement of it. But when you like attach the pleasure to the instant, you know what I've learned over the years, by the way? We're going to finish this podcast today. You know what I've learned? Anything that gives instant gratification is usually not great for you. Usually.
Yeah, it makes you feel
beer,
good. Yeah.
Line of Coke.
Yeah.
Chocolate. Pizza. 99% of the stuff.
When you go, oh, that was good.
Oh, so good. Oh, I love it. And you got this thing for it. But most of the stuff that's a bit like the gratification comes later is usually phenomenal for you. Like, do you think I really like eating oats and water every day? Do you think I'd love to have a bowl of Cocoa Pops? Like, true. That's true. But I attach the pleasure to, I have to take my shirt off at the beach one day and I'm like, oh, that guy's body's like, all right.
Yeah.
You know, but that's where my mind is. My mind's not like, oh yeah, I'll just sit here with his oats and water. Like, how boring. So any advice for 2022, George?
I think exactly what you said before. Every day is a blank canvas. I reckon that's the most important thing ever. I think you just need to work out what you want out of your life and just fit it into every day. Yeah. You don't need a New Year's resolution. If you just focus on killing today, that'll set up your whole year. Yeah, I agree with that. So you got to work out what you want to become though, don't you? What do you want to become? What do I need to do every day to become that person? Exactly. And then just focus on today. I know today I got to do this, this and this to become the person I want to be in a year. Yeah, you just got to join the dots. I think you said it well. What do you want to become? What's the pathway there? Join the dots on the way there. And guess what? You'll become it.